How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Pratik Cherian.
I'm Omar Darwish.
And today we're talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 4, The Whole World is Watching.
Whole world.
So, right off the bat, we're going to put a spoiler warning, mostly because at this point we're a little over halfway. If you're interested in these videos, you should be watching it. And this one, I think there's enough in there that warrants the spoiler warning.
Unless you don't care about spoilers, then come on, join us. Let's talk about this. Won't make any sense, but whatever.
Sure. So overall, Omar, what did you think about the episode?
Other than this being hands down the best episode, I found little to nothing wrong with this episode other than just tiny nitpicks, which I've already established with the last episode. I'm just gonna kind of let those slide. The little things that maybe if this was a movie, they would have paid more attention to the little details. But I think if you don't let little things bother you, it's awesome. Honestly, it's some of the best MCU content we've gotten.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on the little things. I think that I was willing to excuse it so far, but I think that in this one, especially because this episode is so character heavy as far as us going into like the Flag Smashers, we get to see a lot more of John Walker in action. And so with them really going into like these characters are taking these actions because of who they are as people, I think that those little things become more important and make it harder for me to just ignore.
I get that. So little things, spoilers. So what are you talking about specifically?
I think that, I mean, it's really a lot of like narrative things, but I think this episode had a lot of things that happen for the sake of them happening. Not that the other ones didn't, but again, when everything that happens in this episode is because of who these characters are, then things just happening because they need to happen those two things don't go together. You can't be like, well, this happened because of who the character is, but also because we needed it to happen.
I feel like if you're talking strictly like plot conveniences and stuff, I feel like it's pretty consistent with the show. Like I hear you, and there's definitely a lot of coincidences in this and like certain things that need to happen for certain outcomes to happen, but I feel like it's no worse than anything else we've gotten. And with this one, at least there's a bit of hand waving going on with it, so that like they're like, okay, yeah, maybe this doesn't make sense, but look at this, and they give you so much. Like with most episodes of this so far, with the 3 we've gotten prior, they'll give you nothing and then leave you confused regardless. So like I feel like with this, at least we got like content, like good content out of it.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just go through the episode then. We start with Bucky telling Zemo and Sam about the cliffhanger from the last one with the Dora Milaje showing up, and then they go investigate this motherly figure to the Flag Smashers, to this community, and we get a lot of background as to like a lot more clarification as to who the Flag Smashers are, what are their motivations,
and Carly specifically, like her motivations for sure. I would say.
Which is something I've been desperately wanting. So with that,
and they humanize her a bit with her convo with Sam. I would say,
and honestly, more than it humanizes her. I do like them going back to like Sam's background as a counselor, and like I used to work with soldiers dealing with trauma and things like that, because honestly they've kind of ignored that after Winter Soldier, so it's nice to see that like make a return. I appreciated that. I think I really hated Walker just barging in on that conversation.
Yeah, but I also felt like it was so predictable that was gonna happen.
It was. They weren't subtle about it. Again, we get that scene of him going up to Bucky, but again, that's one of those things where like it happens because it needs to happen. Like, why did Sam not get the full 10 minutes? Because Walker's impatient. Okay, kind of makes sense. Yeah. Why did Bucky just let Walker go up there? We needed a confrontation to happen.
Are we to assume he didn't get the full 10 minutes? I'm assuming 10 minutes had passed and he was like, time's up. Like, he was being strict about it. But regardless of semantics, I really like what they're doing with John Walker, I gotta say.
Yeah, I do too. I think overall,
it does seem a bit out of character from even what we've gotten from him earlier on in this episode, where it seems like he really does want to do the right thing. But like, I guess the thing is, he's just like, he's like any other dude, and he can be corrupt by stuff. He's not that special guy that like Steve was.
He's much more impulsive. He's much more hot-tempered.
And he also. He alludes to stuff they had to do in like Afghanistan or something, and dirty stuff that like, scars you. He seems to be okay with that, and we see by the end of this episode he's still kind of okay with.
Well, he says like the things we had to do to get like the Medal of Honor. Like he's not necessarily okay with it, because he says like, you know, we had to do things that we
Right.
that we necessarily shouldn't, but he's also willing to make the choices that other people aren't, which
Yeah,
isn't always,
exactly.
again, it's one of those things that's like not necessarily a bad quality.
No.
You know, being able to make
If
the
you're a
tough choices.
soldier, no, yeah, right. But it just seems like he had a real opportunity at the end of this episode to kind of be like, no, that's not me. I'm a good guy, but no, he decided.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about it. So the episode
That's
ends,
a big thing to talk about, I think.
the episode ends with Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar, getting killed. Which honestly,
I knew they were gonna kill him as soon as he started like reasoning with John Walker earlier on in the episode. I was like, this dude is way better than John Walker. Like, they're gonna kill him off, and they did. And it was so instant too. It was so quick. Like, and I like it because it shows like a super soldier punching you into a wall, you're gone. Like, I feel like in the MCU we get a lot of people surviving things that they shouldn't have.
Right.
Like, but with this, like, instantly he's out, like a light, literally, like, doesn't move or anything, no last breath, just boom. And
yeah, and I said that earlier, that like one of my complaints with some of the earlier episodes is there's too much super strength, too many super soldiers running around. I like that, like, hey, here's some actual consequences. I appreciate that they do that.
Yeah. And even though, like, a couple episodes ago, he survived falling off of a semi just by landing on Cap's shield when Walker throws it to him, I was like, oh, okay, like, can he really survive that? Like, what can this guy survive? And not much, apparently.
I mean, there's padding.
We've seen Cap's shield absorb
the shield,
the
like,
shock,
absorbs
right?
and dissipates, so that makes sense. And plus, he landed on like the edges of the shield, so like it cups like a saucer.
Seems
We
like
all know
seems like it'd still be a bit hot though, friction and all that. But we're not gonna get into all that.
We know like the edges of the shield are like perfectly comfortable for you to land on. Like that's just what we know, so that's fine.
So, just real quick, we're gonna spend 2 minutes on this.
We're not spending 2 minutes.
We had a bit of a discussion off camera about the end of this episode and how Cap, the new Cap, John Walker, like, is repeatedly stabbing him with the shield. And
He
I think
hits him 4 times.
with the sharp part of the shield, you see the blood on it.
How sharp is it
here's
actually?
Here's what we're arguing. I'm saying with someone with super soldier serum in them should be able to, with this shield, cut clean through someone else, right? And I thought
through another super soldier.
I still think, even if it's another super soldier, I think that the shield with that kind of strength, and it's that thin of a metal on the edges, I really feel like he should have been able to, like, either decapitate him or go straight through this dude's bones, like, literally. But again, that's a little thing. Not gonna care too much about it. Particularly, you think otherwise, though. You think?
I mean, I really don't think it's an issue. That's my
I just
thing.
think
Like,
that we've seen this shield go through so much, like, literally go through so much, that the fact that it can't go through human flesh and
we've also
bone,
seen
like,
it bounce off of human flesh, like, as he's throwing it. We've seen it bounce off of like 3 humans.
You're right, but I guess I just always assume that's Cap is just so good with, like, what's the word? With how he knows exactly, like, where to hit with it, I guess. But
Okay, all right. Using that logic, though, the flip side of that, can we not argue that, like, John Walker doesn't know how to use it? So even when he's trying to, like, stab through someone, like, it's not quite working because he doesn't, like, have it angled the right way.
I'm just saying, I found it odd that it can pierce Iron Man's armor, but it can't go
like
through
2
a
inches,
person.
like maybe 1.5 inches.
But it pierced it enough to disable his suit and arc reactor and everything.
because he hit it on the arc reactor. You
Point is,
you hit the power source. Of course, the thing shut down.
But it goes into it and sticks in. I'm saying, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. I'm really curious what you think. Do you think that if someone, even if a regular dude, you didn't have super soldier serum, if you had Cap shield and with all your strength, just, like, beat mercilessly this guy with the sharp end of the shield, wouldn't it go through?
We also don't actually, like, your argument is it would go through, like, after 1 or 2. We also don't see the body.
We
Like,
don't see the body. There is a
They
chance in the next.
purposely hide the body.
If in the next episode we see 2 separate body bags with his bottom half and his top half, then okay.
If they're in body bags, how would we know what was in them?
It'll be like you'll just see his legs.
You want them to be, like, labeled?
Yeah,
Legs,
head, exactly. Yeah, that's what they do, right? I'm not CSI, all right? I'm just saying.
Oh, boy.
But anyway, brief little discussion. Other than that, though, that was really my only nitpick with this one. And while I have like 10 to 20 nitpicks about every other episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, for me to only have one little nitpick with this, I felt like it was pretty
And that's
good.
the one. You know what? Let's backtracking a little bit. We
Sure.
get the Dora Milaje showing up. We get that great.
That was great, dude. That was such a great fight sequence with them.
We did get the fight sequence. I have a problem with it though.
Okay.
What was the point?
The point was for that to be the last straw for John Walker. Like he's
yeah.
they're not even super soldiers and they're kicking
I
my
got
ass.
that. I mean, why did the Dora Milaje like engage in this fight?
Because they wanted to take Zemo.
And why were there like 7? Well, but they didn't start that fight to take Zemo.
Yeah, they did. They said your time is up.
No, but they started the fight with John Walker. And when the fight starts, it's Walker.
They didn't start the fight with John Walker. John Walker put his hand on her, and that's when everything went crazy. They weren't gonna do anything.
This is not a hostile act.
It is if you're doing that to a Dora Milaje, like, and you're not Cap.
Again, how many were there? There were 6 of them?
Yeah.
7 of them? They start out fighting Walker and Battlestar.
Yeah,
Hoskins.
right.
And we just see like Sam, Bucky, and Zemo hanging out. Like Zemo is literally sipping tea. You mean to tell me they couldn't like spare one of them to be like, hey,
Zemo's obviously using the distraction though. You know what I mean?
And I'm not saying it's Zemo's fault. I'm just saying like we have these warriors who are elite, and they somehow forgot that like their target just like slipped away. Like they were so busy fighting 2 people that
the new Captain America and Battlestar. I mean, it's not
without any powers,
and it's not just 2 people because Sam and Bucky do intervene once
they step in like halfway in, but again, we couldn't like.
Well, Bucky stepped in and started coaching him early on. Hey, great job.
I don't know. I to me, like again, it's one of those things where like the fight sequence was cool. I'm glad we got it, but it also like through the whole thing, I'm like, yeah, like Zemo slipped away, and I honestly I think Zemo was my favorite part of this episode once again.
Always,
yeah. But I don't know. It just again, it felt like it made the characters look a little stupid.
I get that. I think he did slip away a bit. Well, when he first slipped away and like closed the doors, I'm thinking, oh, this dude's just trying to protect himself. I really thought that by the end of the fight, he was going to open it, like be the comic relief, like, is it over or something like that? But no, he dipped.
He El Chapo'd.
Yeah, he El Chapo'd them.
Which was good.
Which was a good modern reference. I like that.
I will say I thought that the dialogue and the quips in this were way better than anything we've had before.
This was like the promise of what the show should be. I feel like, honestly,
I think between this and I would take the last 2 episodes. Basically, once Zemo showed up, the show like started making sense.
To be honest, like I didn't like the first episode. Second episode was really good. Third episode, This one was the one for me that I am so on board now. And like, dude, just the tension in the like crowd of people at the end when
everyone has their phones out,
they're all looking at him literally, and like he's just like looking around. You know what we didn't get with this episode though?
What?
Power Broker. We didn't get like anything about Power Broker. It was like one line, like
other than Sharon Carter like talking about Power Broker being mad that what's his face was dead.
Plus to this episode, I feel like it must have been a different director, probably wasn't, but Sharon Carter felt like Sharon Carter again. Maybe that's just her trying to be more friendly. But
maybe it's because
she's playing them.
No, not that. I was saying you just find that because we don't get none of her lines are antagonistic towards Sam or Bucky.
she's not what's a good way to say this? She's not a completely different character than she was before.
I don't think she was a completely different character before.
I know we disagree with this. I think the last episode we saw her in, she was like
because
night and day a different character from when we saw her before, and it's not like you can change that much in the short amount of time.
I don't think I don't think that what we see in this episode is inconsistent with the last episode.
I feel like with the only difference episode, she's more like Peggy, and she's more like how she used to be, and now
because we talked about before, like her role in this was like, oh, she's just like the helpful like side character, and again in this she's a helpful side character.
Well,
that's the only
it's not
similarity.
Just that she can be a helpful side. She was a helpful side character before in the last episode too, but she was like very angsty and like she felt like a teenager.
Because her help wasn't just like taken for granted. Like they actually had to ask her for it, and she actually showed some hesitation and stuff has happened. She's not just like.
Are you still thinking she's the power broker?
Either that or working for the power broker. I'm on the fence about that.
You think there's any weight to the theory that it might be Steve she's working for?
No.
You don't think so? No chance?
None.
Okay, so now we only have 2 episodes left. Is Steve showing up?
No.
No? Over under 10%? You think there's under 10% chance?
Under, if I had to put odds on Steve showing up, I would say like a 5% chance.
Okay, I'm gonna say there's about a 50% chance of Steve showing up. I'm not expecting him to, but I won't be shocked if he does. Now, they never really showed how. This is one minor nitpick I have with this. They never really showed how you take the serum.
I assume it's just an injection.
Okay, so
I think they talked about it in the last one because when he was talking about like how this is better because you don't need all the machinery and everything, it's just an injection.
I was really hoping that he would have split it with his boy, because then we'd have him. I've liked him way more than this guy, man.
I did too, but I think that was the idea.
Yeah, but they can't do that. They can't just get rid of like one of the only black characters we have in the MCU like that quickly. And he was such a well written character too. I liked him.
Yeah, well,
he was like the moral compass for John Walker, and like now, well, I guess now John Walker doesn't have his moral compass. Where's he gonna go? Are we expecting him the full bad guy now? This was his heel turn.
I hope not. I don't want to see him go full bad guy. Honestly, I think there's a place for a.
Well, he's got to go to jail now, though, right?
Not necessarily for what.
There's video evidence of him
killing a terrorist.
It's not to get super real world with this, but it's essentially like cops holding down a man when he doesn't need to be held down. Like it's excessive force is what I'm trying to say. And there was a lot in this episode that's like parallels to like.
Oh, I mean that's been this whole show again.
But this episode in particular, like it's as if they wrote this after all the riots and stuff, and they're like, yeah, people are handling it, but are they handling it the way they should? And it kind of goes with the whole flag smasher thing. And I feel like this episode in particular, now we're finally getting a bit of that message. And I'm honestly, frankly, kind of confused on what the message of the show is in general at this point. It seems all over the place, really.
Yeah, I think the main drive is what does it mean to be Captain America, and we get that scene with the one flag smasher talking to
and
Carly
even with Zemo talking to Sam, and he's like,
sure.
There's only one Steve Rogers, and he looks at him, and there's like a 5-second lull of nothing happening.
Well, and in the Zemo conversation where he's like, oh, if they offered you the super soldier serum, like, would you take it? And Sam says no, just to highlight that, like, he doesn't have this, like, want for power the way that John Walker does. We see that contrast. But going back to that conversation with Carly, like, he's like, oh, like, Captain America, like, you're Captain America because you're the symbol that, like, people look up to now. And, like, Captain America is a relic of a time before, but, like, the modern Captain America looks like you. So, again, the main, like, drive of this show is just, like, what does it mean to be Captain America? That's every episode you can trace the line, and there's significant conversations that happen to that end. When it comes to the real world stuff, they're going to like echo it. There's going to be things that touch on it, but I don't think they have anything to say about it.
You know what it feels like? It feels like the X-Men movies and how they'll cast like someone that looks like Jubilee to be in the background or something, but like just as like a little see, we're referencing this, but we're not going to really touch on it. That's what this feels like to me. Like we're going to reference, socio-political things.
Isn't that what I said about the second episode?
That's exactly what I said. But now I'm agreeing with you though that I thought that they had a chance to go deeper into it, and now I'm like, oh, okay, they're not. They're just like tapping on little ideas, but the through line of this is what it means to be Cap. What does the shield mean?
Which again, I still think is important, and I'm glad we're getting that discussion.
I'm glad we are, but I don't know. I'm almost honestly thinking I'm glad this is 6 episodes. I don't know how long you could stretch that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. But I still think that, I think I told you this off camera, honestly, like with this show, and I'm enjoying the show. I'm like, I don't want to take anything away from that, but I would love to see what, like, when it's all said and done, what does the 3-hour movie cut look like? Like, I feel like this would function better as a movie.
I really feel like this could have functioned way better as a movie. They would have had to tighten up a little plot things though, like, if the shield could cut through somebody. But
actually, last nitpick about this episode, I promise. I enjoyed this scene of like Carly talking to Sam's sister on the phone, but again, it was one of those like, how did she get the number? Did she just like look up on Facebook like what the number is? Like
that I thought that too. Does Sam, when Sam's talking to her Carly the first time, does he say his sister's name?
No, he just says my sister. Like,
well, you know what? I'm assuming that she has Google and she can Google a sister, and she probably has Facebook, and her number's probably on it. It's that's not the biggest.
It's not, but again, it was one of those things where it's just
there could have been a line of somebody coming up to her like, I found his sister's number or something. I got it for you here.
Yeah,
like she had started an investigation.
I mean, it was fine, and I enjoyed the two of them like going back and forth. But again, it was one of those like she really like went out of her way to like hunt down Sam's sister for this. Like,
here's my thing about that scene though. When Sharon tells Sam that John Walker's on his way, he's there. Why is it that Carly believes him now? Why is it that Carly doesn't think that this was an ambush too? Like, just like she did the last one. Like, because if I'm Carly, I'm thinking he got him.
Because Walker's in a different location. That's why, like, Sam...
Is he in a different location?
Yeah, because Sam has to, like, fly away to it. And, like, we see Bucky running, and we see Carly running, too. Like, they all leave
But
that
people
place.
attack them, right? Wasn't that... Were those just more flag smashers?
Yeah, like, Walker's where the other flag smashers were.
Carly was in that final battle, though. It couldn't have been far.
Because they, like, run over there.
Yeah, it couldn't have been far, though, is the thing.
No,
but you're right. Okay. Honestly, I mean... Yeah. Everything I didn't like about this episode, tiny nitpicks for the most part. So yeah, you ready to score it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I think I'm going to give this one an 8.
8? Okay.
Yeah. I was waffling between a 7 and an 8. I think I'm going to go 8. It was good. It was solid. Again, I think the nitpicks are like adding up, and every scene, like as good as they are, there's every good scene can't have the like, wait, why? Wait, huh? Wait, this doesn't like, you can't have that. Every scene was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed like the Walker character moments. Zemo A+, like, yeah. I don't need Falcon Winter Soldier season 2. Just give me Zemo. Just give me Zemo.
Are we thinking Zemo makes it out of the show?
He better.
He better, yeah.
He better. He's been the best thing in this show so far. Yeah. But yeah, I give this episode an 8. You?
8. Maybe if I watch this again, I might give it an 8. Maybe the little things that bother you would bother me more. But I think since coming out of the last episode, I've kind of just like agreed to myself that like, all right, I'm not going to let these things bother me. Mm-hmm. Not letting little things bother me. I think I'm going to give this episode a 10.
Wow. Okay.
I think I'm going to give it a 10. I want to rewatch this now. Like, that's how much it was dope. It was some of the best fight choreography we've gotten. It felt like John Wick this time, but like good. Like the fight choreography was like the John Wick choreographers. I wouldn't be shocked if they did some of the choreography for this.
See, I not that I disagree with you, but I did think that in the last episode, I thought the fight sequences were more grounded. This one we had like the dorm logic like flipping around. We had the shield. We had like a spear spinning. Yeah, but that's not like realistic and grounded like John Wick is.
True, but I felt like
it's good. I'm not saying the choreography.
I felt like it was more like how the Batman Begins fight choreography was. It was pretty bad. It was choppy. Like 16 different camera angles flashing every millisecond. Like I didn't really like that last episode. This one I really feel like at least this is more my what I like about the MCU's fight.
Yeah, I think this is more MCU.
This felt like in Winter Soldier in the opening scene when Steve's just taking people out on the boat. It felt like that kind of fight choreography, and I really liked it.
Also, I kind of want to go back and watch because I feel like watching Bucky in this episode, as far as like his fight choreography goes, they really make it a point like, oh, he's a super soldier versus like,
he with one leap jumps a whole staircase. I'm like, okay, it's always been a question to the point where we used to argue about it. Is he a super soldier? Is he not? They're like, all right, if you were curious before, and if we haven't established it already in this show by calling him a super soldier, he is a super soldier.
He's kicking people and they're flying. Like,
are we to assume he's as strong as Cap because he had the same serum that Cap had?
Sure, maybe. I said I kind of wish they would do a better.
Stronger because he was already stronger than Cap, like before Cap had it. That's another question we were arguing. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that if you are already a big, strong person and you take the serum, are you stronger than someone who's weak and takes the serum, or do you think it gets you to the same level?
You know what? I'm going to say that I don't think they actually explicitly state in the minutia of that, like in the MCU.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. That's why I'm asking, like,
in
the
the comics anyway, like Captain America is supposed to be like the peak of like physical, like human performance.
But he wasn't prior though, right?
Right. But like afterwards. So like if that's the absolute best that a human can go, then I'm going to assume that everybody like tops out at that level.
Okay.
Like it can't make you more than that.
You're probably right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess the only other question I have is, if you could take the serum, would you?
Thanks for watching, guys.
Tune in next week.
Tune in next week where we'll cover the next episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Also, if you're not watching our movie news pod, be sure to do
Watch that.
We cover the week in news.
It's just pretty much a weekly recap show of all the movie news, so you don't have to go to all different sites. Just come right there. We're gonna put links in the description of all the different articles and stuff. So if you want to dive deeper, but just a couple of guys, we're talking about movies and whatnot.
All right, we'll see you guys then.
See ya. Peace.